Welcome, everyone. Are we on? Welcome. It is 5:30, so we'll start. It is Thursday, the 21st day of October, 2021, and we will have roll call.
Larry Jepson, board member.
Randall Bagley, board member.
Steve Norton, superintendent.
Roger Pulsford, board member.
Terry Rhodes, board member.
Kathy Christiansen, board member.
Chris Corcoran, board member.
Jared Black, business administrator.
Thank you. And Jeff Nielsen is on his way. And we will have the pledge and mission statement today led by Randall Bagley. All rise, please.
Our mission is to educate students for success in a changing world.
Thank you, Randall. And we are so excited tonight to have Morgan Christensen here as our district teacher of the year. You have no idea how excited we are because we have not had any recognitions for a year and a half. And it's so nice to have a diversion from just the normal district administrators. Not that we don't love them, but we are so glad to have other guests here. Thank you so much for coming. And this will be presented by Kathy Christiansen, our board vice president. And Ben Murdoch is also here with an acknowledgement for Morgan. So, and Amy McNeil, her principal at Summit Elementary. If you would all come up, that would be great.
Oh, so I'm starting. That's what you meant. Okay. Okay. I apologize. I have this written down, but I wanted to get it right. And so I'll just go ahead and read. I'm really excited to do this recognition for Morgan. So Morgan grew up in Redmond, Oregon. She says her dad is the most tender-hearted man and the biggest goober. My secretary asked me today, what is a goober? Yeah, her dad. She also says her mom is an adapted PE teacher, and Morgan says she's basically just like her mother, but a little bit funnier. Her sisters, Chelsea and Emily, are her best friends. Mason is her brother-in-law, who makes the best brownies known to man, and Halliebug is her adorable niece, which that must be her right there. Then, of course, there is her husband, Brock, and then you have little baby boy, Beckett. Ever since preschool, she's wanted to be a teacher. She was painfully shy to the point of needing to be bribed with Slurpees to even get in front of the camera. And then she said, FYI, the Slurpee bribery will still work. And she remembers loving her teachers more than anything. In her little preschool yearbook, she wrote that she would be a teacher, T-E-C-H-R. Mrs. Elliott, her third grade teacher, knew Morgan didn't want to come to school, so she set up a conference with hot chocolate and snacks, and they just chatted about what was wrong. She then gave her a card, and in the card was an angel coin. She told Morgan to always remember she was an angel to her. Morgan later tried out for a play and didn't get the part of Sacagawea. She remembers being so heartbroken. She went to the water fountain and tried to drink as much water as she could to stop the tears from coming. Her teacher came up and gave her a subtle hug and reminded her how amazing she was, and then gave her the understudy. Looking back now, Morgan is amazed at the time her teacher took to love her and her 30-plus students. Teachers like these continue to foster Morgan's desire to teach and still inspire her. Morgan has been nominated the last couple of years as our Summit's Teacher of the Year, and this is just a couple of things her colleagues said about her. Morgan is one of those teachers who is really here for the kids. She pours her whole heart into helping each one of them in her classroom. She cares about each one of them deeply as a person and then as a student. She is a great example. Morgan cares about each and every one of her students. She is sensitive to their needs, and she does everything she can to make sure they are successful. I think she is an excellent teacher. And I wholeheartedly agree with both of these statements. I've now known Morgan for almost 3 years, and I've been impressed with her natural ability to make connections with her students and also maintaining the high expectations so that they know that they can succeed. Every student that comes into our schools in Cache County School District needs a role model. And I think we've learned more this last year and a half how important it is to have a role model in our schools, to know that someone cares, to know that they can succeed, that they have potential, and to be opened up to what that potential can be. And I feel like Morgan is that teacher. She exemplifies that in everything that she does, and her example to her colleagues as well. And so our Summit family feel privileged to work side by side with Morgan and to have her represent our school as well as our Cache County School District Teacher of the Year. So congratulations.
I think the biggest thing when I got this award was I was first off just kind of taken aback. But the biggest thing is just that I'm so thankful for Cache School District because I feel like I'm the teacher I am because of the resources I got. So Audrey McKell was the instructional coach when I started. And Audrey is like up here in my world. She's like on this pedestal because I feel like she taught me everything I know. And then I had Jake that I worked with, and then Kaylee Nitzel, and just these amazing teachers around me. And I feel like, and Jaylyn, and Jessica, and I feel like I'm just this little quilt of all these teachers that have given me these skills. And so I'm just thankful for the people I've gotten to work with, and the things that I've gotten to be able to help me, for my principals for helping me, and I just think it's a great place to be. So thank you.
Okay, stay right there. Hold on for a second. So we appreciate you being the Teacher of the Year and doing the amazing job that you do with the children at Summit. So we'd like you to have this plaque.
Thank you.
And I'll take that now because you can. And this check for $1,000.
Thank you.
And we have one more.
One more. How's it going? Ben Murdoch.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. I'm from the Murdoch Auto team and very grateful to be here. For the last 7 years, we've had the opportunity to kind of help out and be a part of the community. A lot longer than that, but we started this 7 years ago. And we love to do it because it's because of teachers like you that have helped raise me and my kids and obviously all the great people here in this valley and throughout the state. And for that, as an auto team and personally, we're so grateful for that. So with that being said, one of the awards that you get is 1 year lease of a brand new car from the Murdoch Auto team. And so we are, by all means, and so this is our 7th year, I think 7th or 8th year doing this, and we love giving back because of what the effort that you put forth to raise kids these days. And so thank you very much and congratulations. What? Do I get to pick it out? You do not, but we'll get her a really nice one. So anyways, congratulations and thank you very much. You're welcome.
Now picture time, and we understand that this bribe still works. So there it is. Come on up, and let's get a picture.
Here's your straw.
Ben, get in that picture. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Can we have all of Morgan's family who's here stand up, please? Thank you so much for coming. Now, we will have our public input part of the meeting, and if you want to escape, we'd love to have you stay if you want to stay for the whole thing, but if you want to escape, now is the time. We have no public input this evening, so moving on, we will move to the consent agenda, and I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as printed, and we will now vote.
Voting is closed and the motion passes.
Thank you. The approval is unanimous to approve the items on the consent agenda. We'll move on to the action agenda. The first item there is a request for approval of the Green Canyon School Land Trust Amendment. And Principal Dave Swenson is not here, so I guess Tim will answer questions if you have any about that. Does anyone have questions about that? He presented it 2 weeks ago. Okay, I'll take a motion for that one.
I move that we approve the Green Canyon School Land Trust Amendment.
I second it.
Okay, seeing that we have a motion and a second to approve the Green Canyon School Land Trust Amendment, we will vote.
Voting is closed and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. The Green Canyon School Land Trust Amendment is approved, and they can move forward with that. Next on the agenda is Diana and Cody here from Jackson, Allred Jackson, to give us a brief financial audit report. And thanks for the chocolate. Wow, this is bigger than usual, isn't it?
Honestly, we did a little different this year. They're all individually wrapped bars.
Oh,
So,
wow.
a little COVID friendly. We're really happy to be here.
Oh.
We met with the audit committee earlier today and went over in depth the financial statements and everything. And really want to appreciate that committee for all that they do and safeguarding and watching over the financials of the school district. We also want to really thank Jared and all of his team. It takes a lot of effort when we come in to do the audit, and they're always so gracious and extremely organized to get us all of the information that we need, and we really appreciate them. So, Jared, it's been wonderful getting to know you, and we really appreciate your whole team. So thank you. This is Cody Bland, and I'm Diana Cannell, if you don't recognize me from the last long time. But we just want to kind of give you a quick little financial summary of the audit. You should have, all of you have a copy of the audit, is that correct? I just want to first touch base. There is one state compliance finding. There are no findings for the financial audit or for the federal single audit. Those are completely clean. But on the state compliance, there was one finding, very minor. You did not do your 10-day notice for your budget that's required. It was only a 6-day notice, and so that is at the very back of the report, and you can see that. It will need to be corrected for next year when you go in to do that notification. Just make sure you're doing it 10 days or prior. But everything else was great. We tested over 70 different state compliance areas, and that was the only one that was out of compliance. I'm just going to give a quick financial summary. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you have questions later on, I'm also very happy to take those if you want to give me a call. But if you look at page 30 on the financial audit, this is where we're looking at, well, even you can go back couple pages starting at 28, you can see the assets, total liabilities, and equity. One of the biggest changes that you had as a school district is you really increased what we call net position, or what you would, if you were a business, you would say is your net, your equity, and your net income was about $20 million increase over last year. And that's made up of a couple different components. One, you had increased revenues. Across the board, increased revenues with your federal grants, your state grants, as well as other money coming in for example, school lunch areas and things like that, all went up. You also did a bond refunding during the year. I know I kind of tell you things that you already know because you've already lived through the year. But financially, those things all combined, and you had a nice large increase. Now, that looks great on this schedule, but keep in mind you are spending those resources on the infrastructure and things of the school. Your fixed asset additions during the year were over $12 million. And you paid over $10.5 million just in bond principal payments. So the money coming in, it's not like all of a sudden your cash position increased that much, but it is a good solid amount. What would concern us is if you were running in deficit amounts on this type of schedule. Now, you'll notice in specific funds, you will see deficit amounts for the year, meaning the net income or loss. That's because of the amount of capital project funds that you spend out during the year. If you want to see some greater detail in your fixed asset additions as well as your debts, you can go back to the footnotes. And on page 63, there you can see your debt and the debt positions that it have by individual issuances, as well as you can see you with the bond refunding. That's why there's such a large amount in the increases and a large amount in the decreases, because of that refunded bond. Also, if you turn just a few pages forward on that, on page 55, you can see your capital assets, and that's where you can see the additions. About 17 million additions, but about 5 million of that was last year's construction progress that completed during the year. A lot of projects. You had classroom additions, you had lighting projects, you had solar panels, you had some other remodeling jobs too. So a lot of activity was happening with the growth of the school as well. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Do you have anything you'd like me to go over more in depth on individual or individual funds or processes or procedures that we do with the audit?
Any questions, anyone? All right, thank you so much.
Well, thank
Cody,
you.
and
Again, if later on, as you're going through, the 100-plus page report, if you have questions, we're more than happy to sit down with you or answer any questions that you have.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your work. We appreciate it. I will now take a motion to approve the district financial audit report for fiscal year 21.
I move that we approve the district financial audit report for the fiscal year 2021.
I second.
Having a motion and a second, we'll vote on approval of the district financial audit report for fiscal year 2021.
Voting is closed and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We can put to rest the district financial audit report for fiscal year 2021 and move on to the year we're in. Thanks for your work on that, Jared. We appreciate that. And Dale, wherever he is, having fun. We'll move on to our reports agenda and monthly financial reports for July, August, and September. Now that he can breathe, Jared has been able to create those, and he will lead us through them.
All right, and certainly credit to Dale for the recent financial year and the results of that audit, which were very good. And so I've included here the financial reports for July, August, and September, just as a matter of explanation. When the audit is completed and Diana kind of officially says, yes, your numbers are okay, that's when we can start with those numbers as the starting numbers for the next year in our reporting. So we wait until that point before we start putting together our end of month financial reports for the new year. That's why we have 3 months of reports at this time. So we've provided to the members of the school board the July, August, and September financial reports. At the end of each month, we do go through and put together a very thorough reconciliation of all of our bank accounts and investment accounts and revenues and expenses, and we make sure that all of those numbers tie together at the end of each month as they should. And it's a tedious process, and it takes a lot of time, but it's important to make sure that our numbers match and tie out. So for each of these 3 months, we do have revenues and expenditures tying out with everything that was reported. So glad to be able to report that. I did want to mention to the school board in the some of the reports may look a little bit different going forward, so I just wanted to make you aware of that. The revenue and expenditure report for September, if you look at that one, will just be a report that I print straight out of Munis, which I can do quickly and will save a little bit of time going forward. But that will show, those revenue and expenditure reports will show by fund. So, for example, we have a general fund, a capital fund, a debt service fund. By each of those funds, you'll be able to see revenues that were gathered in during the month, and also a year-to-date total. And also in the expenditure reports by fund, you'll have the same information. For example, you can see the salaries that were paid out over the course of the month, as well as a year-to-date salary amount, et cetera, et cetera. So those will be how those financial reports show up going forward. The other thing that I've done, you've always received a summary of our investment accounts, and it's several pages long. I've consolidated that to just the monthly balances for this year. So there will be one page for each of the investment accounts that shows the changes to those accounts for this year. And then on the last page of the investment summary, it has a total of each of those accounts and where they're at the end of the month. So if you have, as you're looking through those, recognizing they'll look a little bit different from what you're used to, if you have any questions, please give me a call and I can talk those through with you. Also, the file is a PDF file and it's indexed. If you use Adobe Reader to look at it, you can put up the indexing on the left-hand side and you'll be able to click through the different parts of the report fairly easily. So with that said, I guess if there are any questions about the financial reports, I'd be happy to answer those or research them if needed. And if not, that's what I had to report, Terry.
Thank you. This is a lot more information than we're used to receiving, and I kind of like the new format. I think it's a little bit easier to read. Anyone else have any comments or questions?
No, this looks great. Yeah, thanks for doing it.
All right. Thank you for all of that work, Jared. 3 months, that's rough. Okay, moving on in the reports agenda to board member reports. I see Kathy is on the agenda, and if anyone else has reports they want to make, then you can go after Kathy.
So I reported to you about the rec center meeting last time, and Brett Daniels, who's the manager there, had some issues that he was concerned about. So Jared put together a committee of us to meet with Brett and his assistant, Richard, on Monday. So Brett and Richard, Mike Monson, Jared, Bruce Parker and I were at the meeting, and Brett was able to express the different concerns that he had, and there were a couple of them. One was that the situation with the rec department is a little bit different than all of the other buildings that we have, because Smithfield City is part owner of that. And so there was kind of a lack of communication between the district and him, and so some things were happening that were causing problems for him with the Smithfield residents who were members there. And so he expressed what those were, and it was nice to have Bruce there because he explained a few things to him, but he also didn't know about some of the things that were happening, and so he just took notes of what he would do to follow up. And I emailed Brett yesterday to see if he felt good about the meeting that we had had, and he said yes, that, and this was one of his concerns, was Johnson Controls had just been coming in unannounced, and so they would have patrons there or classes going, and then the alarms would be going off, or work would need to be done where they were. But since our meeting, they called to make appointments as to when it would work out better with them. So he was happy about that. We also discovered in our conversation that we really don't have any protocol in place on how to turn in bills to the district, so that the funds for the rec center comes out of the rec center fund rather than out of the general fund. So Jared's going to work on that and come up with some protocols so everybody knows how they're supposed to handle that. And then one other thing that we changed was that we asked Bruce if he would start coming to the meetings that we have, so he would be there to give us information that none of the others of us have. And so anyway, it looks like things will be better there for everyone, and I thought the meeting went well, and appreciate Jared setting this up, and it seems like Brett is happy with how we're moving forward.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for doing that, Kathy and Jared. Anyone else have reports you would like to make at this point? Okay. Moving on to the board president report. We've had multiple discussions about graduation, moving graduations back to USU, and I was informed at our last meeting, after our last meeting, that we don't need to have a vote, an official vote on that. So are you all in agreement that we can just move forward with that? Chris, you've been meeting with your committee for that, have you?
The last meeting we had was the one that was arranged through Tim and Mike. But I have been in contact with my colleagues at USU, so we're ready to pull together a committee and start meeting, hopefully within the next week or two, if that's okay. So we can talk about possible meeting times.
Okay.
After this meeting.
Okay. Anybody have any issues with moving forward in that direction for graduation this year? Okay. Go team. I assume it was Carolyn who gave us these little half-sheet papers. She needs to know who is planning to attend USBA conference in January, and so I'll take those at the end of this meeting. January 6th through 8th is that conference. She also said that registration begins next week for the National School Board Conference in April, and would like to know which of us are planning to attend that. So I'll need that number before you leave tonight too. If you know pretty much whether you're going or not going, I'll need to know that. You can
Write it on that, yeah.
well, I have all of them except two.
Oh, you've already got them in?
So, well, I guess you can just tell me now. Larry?
I'm planning to.
Okay.
Yes, I will be there.
Okay. Steve?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
How long do we have to decide?
2 minutes.
April 2nd through 4th, but you can, is when it is, but you can contact Carolyn directly if that's easier for you.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay,
I'll do that also. Thanks.
okay. Jared?
I have another trip planned.
Okay,
So she can make reservations for all of us and then cancel for those who don't
Yeah, she
show up.
could.
Yeah.
So maybe just turn it in
But
that
if we
way.
already know some can't make it, that's
Yeah,
fine.
Right.
yeah.
that would be easier. Okay. The other thing I need to know, before the end of October, have you all finished your open meeting training so I can contact USBA and get us in the drawing for whatever the prize is this month?
Sure.
Okay, awesome, great.
Well, hang on, if I've got to, I have it this year, so I
Well,
step to it.
you
Okay,
have 5 days.
I will get on it tomorrow.
All right, thank you. And I think that's all that I needed to talk about. I have a copy of a article that Larry, what's his last name? Wilson? Williams shared with me from Education Magazine, and I will make a copy of that and send it all to you digitally. He wanted to share it with our board after the legislative luncheon today. Does anyone have any comments or concerns about the legislative luncheon that we held this afternoon?
I'd like to expand just a little bit more. I really enjoyed getting to know Casey better today, and I think it really paid dividends for both of us to get to know each other better. So I would just encourage you, if you don't know, or if any of the legislators, take the opportunity of getting to know them. It's a whole different experience for me to think about him now, just from the short time that I was privileged to be with him today. And I think he's going to be more willing to listen when I ask him something, even though he's not my representative. And so I just thought that was invaluable. And I'm going to look for an opportunity to sit by people I don't know in future settings. I just thought it was really valuable, and I just think if we spend more time getting to know each other, I think it's easier for us to have conversations on difficult items. And yeah, we've got some difficult discussions ahead of us, and things are going to come down from our state board and from our state legislature that we're probably going to have some deep discussions about, and it's going to affect some of our teaching staff much more than others. And as I was just reflecting, if you were a social studies teacher in this country and we were going through the buildup of the Civil War, you cannot have that classroom discussion without being able to talk about feelings and emotions and opinions. Our country has started off with a revolution, and people had to take sides. So I think it's important that we let our legislators know that it'd be nice if they'd go into our social study classes and get to know the teachers and listen to them, how they teach and how they have dialogue with their students before they make rules and regulations about what goes on in our classrooms. I just really hope that happens. So.
Anyone else have thoughts after the legislative luncheon today that you'd like to share? Okay. Superintendent, was that your report?
That's it. Yep.
Okay. Wow. Well, then, seeing we're to the end of the agenda, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you all for